In case there's a name in bike plan you ought to be comfortable with, it's Max Hazan. Similar to the case with such countless craftsmen, the history of the individual, the dates and places and things of life, is laced with creative creation. Hazan is as yet youthful and arising as a craftsman. He is as yet living his memoir, and custom bike aficionados are finding out about him through his plans. It's a sluggish learning measure, since he assembles wonderful bikes, a couple of every year. What we know so far about Max Hazan is that he was brought into the world in 1981 in New York. His dad had a Long Island studio, and Hazan spent his childhood there riding bikes, yet dismantling things and assembling them back, as he states. Max has noticed that he accepts his capacity to assemble well as a convenient quality he acquired from his dad. In Max's perspective he feels that a few group are simply brought into the world with this attribute. To show his energy for making and building, he recounts the account of his trials with Legos, warming them in the microwave to liquefy them into various shapes. Most of his recollections growing up are loaded up with encounters of planning, building, exploring different avenues regarding, and liking wondrous things. He gained from family goes through nature and noticing exemplary plans. He assembled model planes, hydroplane boats, planes, composite boats, vintage vehicles and custom hustling cruisers. He utilized shifted materials for these undertakings and started to think diversely for each plan issue he experienced. He ultimately went to Tulane University to formalize his investigations of workmanship, plan and building. After graduation, he joined a debut custom home structure organization on Long Island. His work zeroed in on inside plan and agreements, acknowledging customers' dreams while making inventive plan answers for troublesome undertakings utilizing his abilities with shifted creation materials. It was during this time in his life when he started to construct bicycles as a pastime. At some point, during lunch together, his father basically recommended that he construct bicycles as his everyday work. He accepted his dad's recommendation and bet that utilizing his acquired inventive qualities would prompt a strong everyday routine just as great experiencing. He took the gigantic slice in pay to seek after his energy. Hazan took a similar plan measure he utilized at Max Hazan Design and applied it to building custom bikes. He would assemble verbal portrayals and hand drawings from clients to get familiar with their thoughts. Without those, he would impart plans and engineering drawings to them to get what they needed. Renderings of their thoughts guaranteed that both creator and customer were in total agreement. The plan and fabricate would then move from those starter investigations, executing and accomplishing the ideal item. Hazan Design was talented with utilizing recovered materials and best-in-class development procedures. Exceptional dreams could likewise be satisfied by recreating structural plans utilizing the entertainment world's enhancements building strategies. His Williamsburg, Brooklyn office offered support for New York City and Long Island. However, it likewise powered the innovative reasoning and wide scope of abilities which would ultimately change into his altered work with motorbikes. From the outset, Hazan figured he may fabricate about 6 or something like that bicycles to sell every year. In any case, he was brought into the way toward making ones that were really special. His first specialty craft was included on Pipeburn and won its Bike of the Year award in 2013. The bicycle was exceptionally effective, and it dispatched Hazan's profession as a custom bicycle originator. Hazan has depicted himself ordinarily as a manufacturer of things. He discusses his capacities with the certainty of one who has had them since birth. He distinguishes his drawing, painting and working as deep-rooted exercises, however he rushes to make reference to that cruisers have consistently been the medium that is his top pick. The impetus for his planned profession started with a motocross mishap. He had broken his leg and had no real option except to patch. He went through 90 days convalescing on his couch, gazing at his seashore cruiser. During that time, he contemplated how he could mechanize it, eventually doing as such. That first endeavor prompted fabricating a subsequent one. He understood that riding on bike tires at 90 miles each hour was terrifying, and continued on to assemble bikes straight away. He frequently kids about how he fell into his profession, in a real sense and metaphorically. His bikes were promptly interesting, and each dissimilar to some other. Hazan Motors started in 2012 with a little shop in Brooklyn. His expert bicycle building profession started with 4 specialty crafts. The initial 2 were tweaked from existing bicycles and the ensuing 2 were totally worked by hand. During his 2 years with Brooklyn-based Hazan Motors, he met his better half Sarah at a companion's disappearing party in New York. She ultimately concluded that she would work in California, so Hazan went along, moving to Venice, California. The seashore local area offers a portion of similar trendy person components as their old Brooklyn area, and Hazan's studio is a nearby, 30 minutes away. Since Hazan's transition to the Los Angeles region in 2014, he has zeroed in on working around 2 new custom bicycles every year. In the realm of custom bicycles, Hazan is viewed as one of the world's best manufacturers. From his first Pipeburn Bike of the Year award in 2013, he would proceed to win a second, and accordingly, his work is perceived around the world among custom bike experts similar to a capable visionary with the specialized abilities to create whatever he imagines. The individuals who have met him in person have frequently referenced his tattoo, at any point forward in creation. While Hazan's models are not many, every single one of them is uncommon. Here we investigate 5 of our top choices. The XS650. He depicts his manners of thinking concerning the XS650 as roused improvisation. Hazan picked the XS engine as the center, and fabricated the bike around it, believing it to be an attractive engine. He had no designs for where his undertaking would end, and no specific style of bicycle as a primary concern. He just permitted himself to follow the lines as they created, without earlier outlines or reference pictures. He had tracked down a 1983 XS650, and pulled out the back center and engine. It was an unblemished Bronx disclosure. He started imagining that he would fabricate all aspects of this bicycle himself, yet chose something else. He utilized eBay, searched culinary stockpile and second-hand shops for parts, attempting to keep to his financial plan. He changed the fuel tank and afterward welded a filler cap from a vintage raceboat. The shifter was produced using a porcelain door handle found at a local rescue store. The grasp framework was produced using parts gathered from a sewing machine. The 1-inch tubing from the culinary stock was only the start of things he would discover as he worked. He chose to restream the stock carburetors with 150 planes, took out the front brake, and kept the bicycle spotless and useful. He planned the seat with an orientation spring suspension situated between the bicycle's speed stacks. He changed the valve seals and rings when he had issues with consuming oil. He utilized plain MX edges and Buchanan spokes. Eventually, the bicycle rode liberated. "A rocket," said Hazan. The Ducati 900. The Ducati 900 is a model that has been utilized for other custom forms. Yet, fanatics of this bicycle recognize that Hazan is the one manufacturer who has had the option to really develop the exposed bicycle. The lone parts he saved for his custom rendition were the motor, the wheels, and a portion of the casing. He exceptionally assembled his own backside, exhaust pipes, headers, open admission and curved guard. Different increments were a Spartan seat produced using froth, a front lamp by Harley Davidson, a redid gas tank with a secret battery and its gadgets and re-flue carburetors. Hazan didn't keep a large part of the first Ducati. Practically 50% of the bicycle was modified. There is a many-sided plan in the gut of the machine. Hazan welded altered equivalent length headers to use for its carbon depletes. The edge conceals a guiding damper which additionally adds to the perfect lines on the whole bike. The form was an extremist, yet reasonable one, as Hazan contributed his own specific plan style to the bicycle. The Ironhead. At the point when Hazan chose to construct the Harley-Davidson Ironhead motor, the plan included significantly more intricacy than his different manifestations. Hazan recognized that he bought the 1981 1000cc in light of the fact that he cherished the heads, and had fitting it with double carburetors and 2 heads. He fostered his own plan for the front suspension, utilizing air admissions which help the 2 carbs breath. Common to his imaginative sense, he rescued a farm truck light to put on top. He planned the bicycle with a huge back tire. The seat rides over it, with a lower position that highlights its moderate plan. The gas tank is tightened, long and limited, intended to stream toward the seat. There are level handlebars, a hand change gearbox, and debilitates which are straight through. The whole organization is exquisite. Hazan referenced that it took 4 endeavors to make the gas tank stream inside the general plan. He gave it a silver completion and bended structure which are consistent inside the bicycle's geology. Hazan made all that himself with the exception of the motor and the wheels. He fostered a unique front suspension, mating the fork to double springs under the tank, and adding a damper under its fog light. There are no uncovered wires and the high-quality parts eliminate all messiness. The wooden seat is delightful, so no one really minds how agreeable it could possibly be. The wheels are produced using 1920s style vehicle tires, and are 30 and 31 inches. The bicycle weighs around 300 pounds. Light, straightforward and smooth. The Royal Enfield. What makes Hazan's work of the Royal Enfield wonderful is his consideration regarding bringing its exhibition into current principles. He utilized the motor, yet hand-created the whole of the leftover parts. It has a thin gas tank which he hand-beat for perfection, a solitary line hand-bowed fumes, a hand-cut wood seat with a very good quality sparkle finish, and lightweight wheel center front and center. The 1996 Royal Enfield is amazingly uncommon to discover any place besides in India. Truth be told, Hazan's sister rode one for about 14 days while there, which is the way he at first got some answers concerning it. He additionally noticed that the engine helped him to remember the boats he used to construct. Be that as it may, never had one been specially assembled totally. Hazan assessed that the whole form took him around 2 months of everyday employment to finish. Here's an example of his custom work on the Royal. The motor. The twofold cam framework and bronze chains. The metallic handlebar grasps. The front wheel drum slowing mechanism. Silvered casing and motor segments. Hand-cut wooden seat propelled by vintage Italian speedboats. This form is an illustration of Hazan's quintessential creativity and specialized ability. Everything about the bicycle is the ideal blend of structure made to help work. Staggering. The Musket. At the point when Hazan chose to foster the Musket in 2015, he enrolled help from Aniket Vardan to utilize 2 Royal Enfield motors to make one single motor, a 1000cc V-twin. Hazan needed to do this task for a long time. As is frequently the situation with Hazan, he started with an adoration for the motor. He felt that the work Vardan never really machined the Musket motor was absolutely workmanship. Everything about the bicycle created from the monstrous motor. The edge must be large, and just the BF Goodrich Silvertown tires, regularly for vehicles, and gigantic, would be correct. The tank shape, the edge points, its lines and all the other things must be gradually evolved until they were flawlessness in essence. Hazan started, similar to his custom, with the motor, mounting it on his workbench. He planned each part exhaustively utilizing a full-scale drawing. He utilizes this procedure to help him perceive how the different parts measure in relationship to the entirety. The solitary things bought for the form were the wheels, tires and front light. Hazan favors moderate plan. With that in mind, he ran the choke link through within the handlebars to keep a clean visual line. He rebuilt the essential drive with the goal that the circle brake had space to live in the transmission. He worked on the back tire. The battery fits inside the custom gas tank. The hardware and start were put in lodging on the underside of the motor. This further developed wind current and concealed wiring which would have been uncovered and lessened the smooth lines. Hazan made the gas tank himself from cleaned aluminum. He likewise made the bumper, however it took a few endeavors before he was happy with the last form. The tank is intended to feature the engine without deterring perspectives on the parts. The shocks are bronze and there are more modest valve springs inside the fork springs. The wood seat is made of matured pecan and has 15 layers of finished polish. Hazan said that his objective was that it be done as a Steinway would have been. The whole bicycle hushes up to ride, and needs some training to ride because of its square tire and particular draw. The lone individual who rode it before it was conveyed to its new proprietor was Hazan himself. The imaginative manufacturer of bikes keeps on partaking in the extravagance and incomparable aftereffects of building his visionary bicycles on his own timetable. Roused. New. Astounding. Max Hazan. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching.